March 2000, New York. The NASDAQ has fallen 25% in 1 week. $2 trillion gone. In the middle of the wreckage sits a company from Seattle. It sells books online. 5 years ago, its stock went from $18 to $106. Its founder was named Time Magazine's Person of the Year. Now watch what happens next. Within 18 months, that stock will fall to $6. 6. That's not a bad quarter. That's the number where most companies write their own obituary. This company didn't. In 2000, almost everyone was certain Amazon would go bankrupt, but it didn't. Today, it's one of the most valuable companies on earth. So here's the question. What happened in those 18 months? To understand how close this company came to dying, you need to understand the fever it was born into. In the late 90s, you didn't need a business plan. You needed 3 letters, .com. Stick them on anything, and millions would appear by noon. Nobody bought these stocks because the businesses made money. They bought a story. This is the future. Get in now or never. And Amazon rode that wave harder than almost anyone. By 1999, its founder, a former hedge fund analyst named Jeff Bezos, was one of the most talked about executives in America. But beneath the headlines, there was a problem no one wanted to look at too closely. Here's what should have terrified everyone. Amazon was losing money on almost every order it shipped. The shipping cost more than the book inside the box. By the end of 2000, Amazon posted a net loss of $1.4 billion for 1 year. And the company had over $2 billion in long-term debt. Bezos wasn't hiding any of this. He was doing it on purpose. His bet, in a winner-take-all market, the company that grows the fastest, even while bleeding cash, ends up owning the whole board. This strategy only works if the money doesn't run out first. And in 2000, the money was about to run out very, very fast. March 2000, the bubble doesn't deflate. It pops. Pets.com, Webvan, eToys. Companies worth billions vanish in weeks. Not slowly, immediately. Amazon crashes with the rest of the market. But it doesn't just dip. It gets crushed. By September 2001, the stock that once traded above $100 is worth about $6. A 94% collapse. Market cap went from $30 billion to just over $2 billion. And this is where it gets worse. June 2000, a 29-year-old Lehman Brothers analyst named Ravi Surya releases a report that changes everything. He calculates Amazon's real liquidity at about $386 million, not the billion plus the company claimed. His conclusion: Amazon would run out of cash within 4 quarters. The day that report comes out, Amazon stock drops 20% in one single session. 20% in 1 day. Bezos doesn't stay silent. He officially calls the report pure baloney. He says it to the press for a company with $2 billion in debt and not one profitable quarter in its history. He calls it pure baloney. In that moment, the market made up its mind. Amazon would be next. Surya was right about the danger and catastrophically wrong about where the company was going. But nobody knew that yet. Behind closed doors, the picture was worse than the headlines suggested. Interest payments alone were eating up a huge chunk of revenue. 7 years in business, not one profitable quarter, ever. If capital markets freeze, if lenders stop lending, if bondholders stop buying, Amazon runs out of runway. Completely. The same way Pets.com and Webvan did. This is the moment most people who lived through it assumed the story was over. And then Bezos does what nobody expected. He doesn't retreat to just selling books, the one thing that already worked. He doesn't kill the long-term bet. Instead, he does something harder. He keeps the bet alive while ruthlessly cutting everything that doesn't serve it. January 2001, Amazon announces 1,300 layoffs, 15% of its entire workforce. Imagine that room. People who believed in this since the garage days, being told their jobs no longer exist. Stock options, now worth less than the paper they were printed on. A year from now, none of this might exist. panic isn't strong enough for what's happening inside this building. CFO Warren Jensen steps in front of journalists and says it plainly. It was painful, but absolutely necessary to reach our goal of profitability in the fourth quarter. Translation: they're betting the entire company on the next 12 months. And there is no plan B. Here's what should have killed them. Amazon cuts staff, but increases spending, not less. New fulfillment centers open, even as the company cuts staff elsewhere. Selection expands, books, then electronics, then toys, then almost everything. Prices stay low, even on items where Amazon loses money on every sale. To an outside observer, it looks like insanity. You're bleeding cash, and you're spending faster? But it works exactly like a siege. Smaller competitors can't survive low prices, fast shipping, and endless selection, all at the same time. One by one, they fold. Amazon isn't just surviving the crash. They're using the crash to bury everyone standing next to them. And this is where something happens that almost nobody notices. While everyone is watching the losses, inside the company, something else is being built. Something that will one day be worth more than the entire online store. Engineers inside the company are quietly building something else. This isn't the store. This isn't the website. It's the infrastructure. Servers, systems, code that can scale in an instant when traffic spikes, all on a shrinking budget. At first glance, it looks like unglamorous plumbing behind an online bookstore. Nothing more. In 2002, that internal infrastructure quietly becomes the seed of something new. It gets a name: Amazon Web Services. Within 2 decades, this boring plumbing would generate more operating profit than Amazon's entire retail business. The thing nobody was watching turned out to be the most important thing of all. In 2001, nobody wrote headlines about that. They were too busy writing Amazon's obituary. Q for 2001, Amazon posts operating profit for the first time in 7 years. It's small, about $5 million on top of $1 billion in quarterly revenue. Barely a rounding error next to the losses of 2 previous years. Not a victory, a signal. They are not dying. The model works. It just needed time, a time that nobody thought they had. What Wall Street had been calling reckless mismanagement starts to get quietly reframed as strategy. People stop asking why is Amazon still not profitable and start asking a different question. What if it was never just an online bookstore or even just a store at all? What if they'd spent 3 brutal years quietly building the infrastructure the rest of e-commerce would eventually have to build on or compete against? As Amazon claws its way to that first profitable quarter, the landscape around it is being cleared. Hundreds of dot-coms that raised money on hype alone, with no real path to sustainable revenue, simply run out of cash. Amazon survives the same storm that kills almost everyone who started alongside it. By the time the dust settles, there's remarkably little competition left standing in its category. In the years that follow, Amazon builds on that survival instead of just resting on it. Amazon Prime launches in 2005, turning fast shipping into a subscription habit that keeps customers coming back. AWS officially launches as a public product in the mid-2000s. The company expands into groceries, streaming, hardware, and logistics networks that rival national postal services. The company that was supposed to be a cautionary tale becomes one of the most valuable companies ever to exist. So why did Amazon survive when almost everyone around it didn't? Not because Bezos made no mistakes, he made plenty. He survived because he was willing to lose money longer than his rivals were willing to lose money alongside him. The company survived because it kept building for a future that hadn't arrived yet, instead of chasing a profit it could show off today. And it survived because, at the exact moment when quitting looked like the only rational choice, it cut everything that didn't matter and doubled down on everything that did. They didn't know they'd make it. They had no idea they would become giants. They just didn't stop. Sometimes that's the only difference between a company that disappears and one that changes the world. In 2000, almost everyone watching was certain this was the end. A stock at $6 to billion in debt. 7 years without a single profitable quarter. Today, it's almost impossible to imagine a world without it. And the entire outcome was decided in those months when the company was closest to death. If you enjoyed this story, there are more like it on our channel. Hit subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.